Hello there, my name is Dion Roberts. I am an independent celebrant who creates and delivers ceremonies, traditional ones like weddings and funerals, but also rites of passages that honour all the milestones of our lives. In this video, I'm hoping that you would get an insight into working with a celebrant and a little bit about me. If you're looking for a celebrant, you're probably asking, what's the difference between us? And what characteristics you should be looking out for when it comes to hiring one. How about organizational skills and organizational tools? Well, I have those. I also have an eye for details. Having run a number of businesses, I know how important it is to have great operational systems behind the scenes and also an operational mindset and the ability to be able to execute them. As for the front of house, you may wish for someone who's able to hold space. I deliver bespoke ceremonies, creative, fresh, with your requirements. But there's one thing all of them have in common. Can you guess what that is? Love. I swear, I'm usually not a love poet, but if I was to wake up tomorrow morning and decide I was going to write about love, my first poem would be about you. Although all ceremonies are different, tailor-made for you, the success of them comes down to 3 P's: preparation, practice, and performance. So first up, we have preparation. It's when I meet a client for the first time and exercise my good listening skills. Skills I have developed over the years through previous trainings and my work as a health practitioner, healer, Buddhist, all of which are effective when it comes to being a compassionate listener. In this meeting, I collect details, information, and the story, whether it's your whole life story, your parental story, your identity story. I provide resources that you can choose from, so you can choose the elements that you would like to take and use for your ceremonies as we prepare them together. I'll go on to create the first draft of a ceremony. That could be the script of a wedding or vow renewal. It could be a naming ceremony. It could be a eulogy if it's a funeral, or the order of service. All these need a first draft. I also start arranging the music and the cue sheets, a plan of the layout of the space in which your ceremony is going to take part in, at which time I gather elements that will be admitted and performed by others. As an added-on extra, you can opt to have a wedding rehearsal, which confirms the choreography of the ceremony.
I'm going to be honest, it's not often I find myself eager to write about love. In fact, every time I try to write about love, my hands clamp, just to show how painful love can be. Sometimes my pencils break, just to prove that every now and then, love takes a little bit more work than we expected. I heard that love is blind, so I write all my poems in grey. And my poems are never finished, because love, true love, is everlasting.
For example, what happens when and who stands where and when, pretty much like stage directions. From this, a ceremonist will make the last-minute changes to the choreography of the ceremony itself. Rehearsals are often done at the venue, but they can be done anywhere, using props as examples for that which is unseen.
I've always believed that real love is kind of like a supermodel before she's airbrushed. She's pure and imperfect, just the way God intended. I'm going to be honest, I'm not much of a love poet. But if I was to wake up tomorrow morning and decide I was going to write about love, my first poem would be about you. About how much I love you.
Talking about pure and imperfect, let me explain the second P, which is practice. Having kicked off the second P with a rehearsal and the first draft completed, I start practicing the ceremony from this point onwards. As I work on the second drafts, editing the order of service, contacting the venue, and making all the last minute changes. I then start planning what I'm going to be wearing, especially if I am going to be accenting a colour as part of your ceremony or taking part in a theme if you're having a theme ceremony. From this point on, I practice, practice, and practice, reading the scripts aloud.
The same way I learned how to ride a bike, scared and reckless with no training wheels or elbow pads. So my scars can tell the story of how I fell for you. I'm going to be honest, I'm not much of a love poet. But if I was to write about love, I would write about how I see your face in every cloudy reflection, in every window. You see, I've written a million poems, hoping that somehow, lady, somehow, you'll jump out of the page and be closer to me. See, I'm not much of a love poet, but if I was, I write about how you had the audacity to be so beautiful, even on days when everything around you is ugly. I write about your eyelashes and how they're like violin strings. They play symphonies every time you blink. If I was a love poet, I write about how I melt in front of you, like an ice sculpture, every time I hear the vibration of your voice.
Meanwhile, I am collating information in regards to the edits that you would like, as well as gathering equipment and ticking off from my to-do list. On the day of the ceremony, I walk through the space with love. What I mean by this is I pay attention to detail by going through the choreography in my head, ensuring that the right number of seats are at the front and that there is space around the certificate area if a certificate is going to be signed. This is why I arrive 1 hour at least before the ceremony. Having found the event venue coordinator, I begin ticking off from my checklist things like sound check, finding the ceremony contributors, making sure that disabled access, health and safety, and also taking care of those last minute adrenaline nerves that are going on within your ceremony party. It's my job to help them through it and debrief anybody who wasn't able to make the rehearsal. Once they have their readings, ritual items, and have confirmed their positions, I then also check in with the family and the undertakers, bestowing a sense of calm and also giving information about anything that is needed and has been changed in the last minute. I then take my position and start walking down the aisle. Once the wedding party is poised and ready, or the family is seated, could be awake if it's a funeral, then the performance begins. The moment the performance begins, it's my job to be holding space. And that means settling the guests, making all the necessary announcements my clients have asked me to make, which are usually about photos and streaming and social media or anything else they may ask me to do. So everyone gets on the same page in accordance with the family's wishes. It's also my job to help everybody feel comfortable. I do so with the expression on my face and the gravitas of my energy. I'll be there with a look that will reassure you and all your guests that everything is going to be okay. This settles one's adrenaline. This is not my ceremony, it's yours. I'm not cheap and cheerful. I'm authentic, I'm funky, I'm elegant, but yours. I don't require clients to mold to my style, personal or professional. It's up to me to mold to your style and your theme, so I can deliver a ceremony that fulfills your wishes.
And whenever I see a name on caller ID, my heart plays hopscotch inside my chest. It climbs onto my ribs like monkey bars, and I feel like a child all over again. And I'm going to sound weird, but sometimes I pray that God somehow will turn you back into one of my ribs so that I would never have to spend an entire day without you.
Even if those wishes are cheap and cheerful, I deliver unique ceremonies crafted from the information I collated from the very first meeting when I listened deeply with compassion to your story. So if you're looking for bespoke ceremonies by someone who can deliver the 3 Ps, prepare, practice, perform, then look no further than this artistic performing artist, healing business owner, Dion Roberts, an ex-contemporary dancer. I swear, I'm usually not a love poet, but if I was to wake up tomorrow morning and decide I was going to write about love, my first poem would be about you. Once the ceremony is finished and all the ritual items have been placed, where the clients and I previously agreed to leaving them, which might be with the guest book, it could be at reception, or it could be sent on to you later, I then ask, if I may, for a picture with the happy couple if possible, if this is a wedding. Perhaps a friend of yours, a member of your family, or an auntie one day would like to hire me, in which case it'd be good if I wasn't wearing the same outfit. If I am not hired to be your MC, I will quietly disappear. The next time and the final time you would hear from me would be via email, at which point I would be asking for your feedback so I can continue to learn and improve my celebrant business. I hope you have gotten a good idea of what a celebrant service may entail. Although we are all different with different needs, these 3 Ps of preparation, practice, and performance are the universal characteristics of what will make a ceremony lovely, leaving a lasting impression on your heart.